Hey everyone, it's Marek from Last Mile Experts,
And Ian from the Postal Hub Podcast.
and we are the Last Mile Prophets.
And today we're going to talk about everybody's favourite topic, parcel lockers.
Yeah,
Not
we
if
thought that would be a good one, didn't we, Ian? Because
it's been,
everyone seems to get so excited.
it's a bit like if you mention Amazon, you mention parcel lockers. These are some of the hot topics that people are always interested in. But if people are always interested in it, why is it that parcel lockers don't work or haven't worked so far in every single market? I guess the obvious one is the UK. Such a big and such a mature e-commerce market. People say it's the most mature e-commerce market in the world, and there's 1 billion PUDO points, and yet.
Well, and this is a great discussion. I think, not many people know. I don't even know if you know, but for my sins, my original education and sort of business life was related to banking. And I worked for Lloyds Bank, and I still have a checkbook. I think they're still used in the UK, but you say, why on earth is he talking about this? Checks were around in the UK for decades after the rest of the world
Had
moved to
long
cards.
since moved on. My goodness, I remember when I first moved to London, and my bank gave me a checkbook. What am I going to do with this? I ended up having to use it. It boggled my mind.
And what is the reason? Tradition, habits, and people just are so used to it, even if it's right or wrong. And I think the reason I use that example, I think it's a little bit the same with PUDOs and lockers. In the UK, you've got two large networks. They haven't all succeeded, but two have. One has to succeed because it's the incumbent postal operator, so it's there, like it or not, which is Royal Mail. And I think they've got, what, about 11,000 or something like that, 11 and a half?
11,500 post offices they've got.
That's right. So effectively, that many PUDOs. And then you've got Collect Plus, which I think have around about 7,500
Something like
PUDOs.
that, yeah.
Something like that. And by the way, you know my rule, one for 10,000. So both of those beat the minimum viable product rule of one per 10,000 because there's about 66 million people in the UK. So minimum 6,600 points. So, okay, they worked. There was coverage. And then in came InPost with lockers. And they put in about 1,000 lockers,
Right.
plus minus.
But were they all
Now,
clustered in one area, those lockers, or were they across the whole country?
the issue was exactly that, I think. First of all, the network was not dense enough. It was more or less countrywide, from what I understand. Of course, focusing on big cities, but it wasn't dense enough. There were issues with the locations being wrong. And above all, there are issues with people not really understanding that, the checkbook philosophy, what is a locker? There were some other very specific issues in the sense that the network was not clearly an open network, which would have made it a lot easier. And
So it was
actually,
tied to a courier, was it?
so it was InPost's network.
Right.
So in that sense, you had to sign up with InPost, and for a big e-commerce, another partner in delivery when they only had 1,000 lockers just didn't make sense. Honestly, with the benefit, it's easy to say that with the benefit of hindsight now, but I'd have said that the smartest thing that could have happened at the time would have been they got together with Collect Plus, and you know my view that lockers and PUDOs work really well together,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that could have been really, really cool. But anyway, it failed. It failed for many reasons. But one of the key ones, I think, is there weren't enough lockers and people were so used to PUDOs, which had already achieved critical mass.
Well, I think this is an interesting point here when you talk about them going in with 1,000 lockers, because it sounds like an impressive number until you compare it with other networks. What Packstation's done, for example. But what I was going to quickly mention is that the Nearbox, is that how you pronounce it, initiative, which is Swipbox and Post Nord, they rolled out their network so fast and made it so dense so quickly. Right?
But Ian, but one of the key things for any, and this applies to both PUDO and locker networks, you need a partner who has the volume, because these things, both lockers and PUDOs, it's a volume game. You don't give the
So they were
PUDOs
able to
enough
put, in
parcels.
the Nearbox case, I'm sorry again if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but you guys know who I'm talking about. They were able to basically get volume into those parcel lockers very quickly, weren't they?
Absolutely, because of the partners they had. And I think this is the key thing. If you don't have the right partner and the volume, a PUDO will get disappointed because if he's getting one parcel per week, he'll get it wrong because he'll forget what he
Because
needs to
I've
do.
heard that there are some networks where the turnover of PUDO partners is quite high.
Oh yeah.
Right. Now, if you look at the post office network, the turnover is, it depends on the country, right? But there'll be a change of ownership every X years, okay? but it's still, the post office is still the post office. Whereas if you've got a retail partner, and it might be a hardware store or a gardening store or a deli or whatever it is that's part of your PUDO network, you might be having to find a new PUDO partner. That might be a retention rate of a churn of 30%.
But that's honestly, I've seen that sort of churn rate, and it typically will happen when the procedures are not right, when the selling is not right. You're selling the wrong things, because it's not about the money you make from the parcel. It's about the footfall. Do you remember the Morrison's example we had in one of our
that's a good example. It dragged in extra customers into an existing retail environment and increased in-store sales at Morrison's because they used it effectively as a marketing tool. So if you're in a small business environment and you've signed up for a PUDO network, you want to be able to use those parcels as a marketing tool. But if there's low volume, you're not going to see the point. If the system is hard to use, you might not see the point. And if the dollars are nowhere near the right, dollars, euros, pounds, whatever it is, that is a problem. I know that some people will try and sort of gloss over that, but it is ultimately a problem. If all you're getting is small Amazon parcels that you can easily give out, that's one thing. I went into a news agency a couple of weeks ago, well, back when we could still go into news agencies, so it was months ago, and they had televisions in there waiting for collection. I thought, come on.
That is exactly it, though. That's a result of bad planning for the network. Big, heavy, ugly doesn't work at PUDO.
No, it's a disaster. And I can tell you it's a disaster for a number of reasons. One, you've got to find the safe, secure storage. Two, you're looking at the payment, and it's just all wrong. And three, if somebody comes in and is picking up, say, a book they've ordered from Amazon, they can tuck it under their arm and buy something else in store. If they are collecting a box of wine or a TV or a bike,
right, that's it. That's all they take.
They haven't got that's all they're going to do. So that sort of nullifies part of the promoted advantage of being part of a PUDO network. So.
Absolutely. But let's talk just for a second about the other side of the story so that we don't miss scenarios where it works. So Poland, close to my heart, of course, the same company that didn't succeed in the UK has been an unbelievable success in the Polish market. They've got 7,000 plus lockers. I proudly left DPD as a number one player in the market. Now they're a very weak number two with probably half the volumes of InPost. And it's because of lockers. So lockers can work, but it's about density. It's about having the right proposition and the right partners. So they were very lucky and smart in that they got a very strong relationship with the number one e-commerce in Poland, Allegro, who probably have 50 plus percent share of e-commerce. And that more or less guarantees the volume that they need to make it work.
Because if I recall correctly, wasn't that what My Parcel was trying to do? The PUDO network that was it 2 years ago that it was?
Yeah, the Swiss News one, wasn't it?
And they tried to partner basically with one major e-commerce retailer. The volumes never materialised and just never really worked. So,
and they made the mistake that they invested in fairly expensive upfront hardware and software.
That's what we've been told. So, Marek, we are almost out of time, but this is an amazingly interesting topic because people want to know if parcel lockers will work in their network. They want to know in their market what kind of network they have to set up. We might just say at this point, comment below, ask your questions below. It might stimulate another episode of this series of videos for the Last Mile Profits. Marek Różycki, thanks for being part of this today.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, everyone. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed this episode of The Last Mile Profits.
Make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button and also the notifications bell so you get a notification every time we add a new video to this channel. Look forward to sharing more stuff with you on The Last Mile Profits.